welcome to the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV. Thanks to your donations for the donation incentive, we are now a
Ну что ж,
boy. It was really close. It was almost a Lalafell. It would have been fine, but we are now.
на сервере уже
Look at
вовсю
this community that is here.
происходит вечеринка в честь того,
Usually
что
when I
сейчас
do
будет
any of these
происходить.
floors in Palace of the Dead, I see like 2 people by lucky, and we have all these people. And just to note, it took probably 3 to 7 hours for these guys to get in here, so that's really, really amazing. So thank you guys for showing up. We are doing Palace of the Dead, floors 171 to 180 with no mouse and both hands on the keyboard. There is a mouse, but it's more like a moral support mouse, so it's just chilling there. I'm having it here so you guys can see if I'm actually using it or not for the once we start the run. That's why it's there. I'll sort of go over this setup once we're inside, but in the meantime, I'd like to first introduce my couch and my good friend, Frosty.
Hey, I'm Frosty.
А мышки сегодня не
For those
будет.
who might know me from the Final Fantasy community, I sort of run a weekly podcast called Mog Talk. I do a handful of community events.
Категория
And really, I'm just excited to be here.
подразумевает, что человек будет держать обе руки на клавиатуре.
Kinda easy.
Thanks, man. So let me get a bit of an intro to this run to set the stage of what you're going to watch, and then we'll start up. Some or many Final Fantasy XIV players may know or have heard of Palace of the Dead, which was inspired by a dungeon in another game called Tactics Ogre. But those players probably know, like Mr. Game and Shout said, you probably only know like the lower floors, like 51 to 60, with the match party grind, or maybe the first 100 floors. This content has 200 floors split into 10 floor intervals, so that's why we're kind of in this area that we're chilling about to do the next 10. And you can only step into 101 plus and above with either pre-made or by yourself, like we are solo. What you'll see today is like a snapshot of the entire run. One could argue it's the hardest set of the whole challenge. By starting at 171 plus, we are already 7 to 13 hours into this file. So if we were to die today, if we were to duty fail at any point in this run, we will have to return back to floor 1. I don't think GDQ would really appreciate me spending the next 13 hours just getting this file back up, so we'll hopefully get this clear out of
Да,
today.
у нас,
Also, as mentioned, this is the critically acclaimed MMORPG
по
guide
сути,
where
только
you can play
одно
through
право
the
на
Heavensward
ошибку.
expansion for free with no restrictions. This
В связи
very
с тем, как
specific
работает
challenge
Palace
you
of the
can
Dead.
see on a free trial, which is so cool. And if you never touch the game, if you've never subbed, you can do this like right
Собственно, он
now.
сейчас
So, like,
рассказывает
install the game and try it out.
специфику
With a
подготовки
little bit of
данного
support, of
рана.
course, but you can try it out. And you can start your journey for the Necromancer title, which is the one I have on top of my head. And you only get that soloing this place from 1 to 200 on any job, but we're taking in Machinist for today.
It's the rarest title out
In
there,
relation,
I think, right?
It is one of the rarest titles out
Yeah.
there. Like less than 1% of the player base has it, even if you include the free trials.
Mhm.
In relation to that, I will be playing this run kind of similar to free trial, even though I am subbed the game. So we are using potions that we will only get from House of the Dead, and we are not using food, which I have like a little hard to tell, but I have a full complement of food and stuff I can do because we are sub. But we are going to avoid using that, so it kind of has that vibe of the free trial. All right, with that laid down, I'll get up to that is the exit. I'll get up to the entrance, and time will start when you see the duty commence text show up on the screen. The screen will fade in and out of black, and then it'll duty commence, and we'll start the timer.
Да,
So, let's get it started. All right.
что ж,
171
Palace
to
of
180.
the Dead.
Let's go. Little small countdown. 3, 2, 1.
Начинается. Итак, Palace of the Dead. Особый режим в 14 Final Fantasy, который представляет из себя подземелье в 200 этажей. Подземелье рассчитано на 4 игроков, и вы по ходу его прохождения прокачиваете своего персонажа с 1 до максимального уровня и полностью его развиваете. Мы проходим сейчас самую сложную десятку этажей в игре. Справедливости ради, хоть на классе, который это может плюс-минус как-то проходить.
And I'm going to try to eliminate this thing in time, but it's a nice, really open start to this one. So I have to open these chests for the power-ups that are involved.
Почему упоминалось, что у раннера нет права на ошибку? Потому что при смерти персонажа нас ждет откат на первый уровень Palace of the Dead, а это, чтобы вернуться обратно на 170-й, раннеру уйдет примерно 7 часов времени, поэтому ошибаться нельзя, проходить игру надо очень аккуратно. Палас УЗД рассчитан на 4 игроков. Райдер же проходит игру в соло.
And I don't want to just use them willy-nilly because they're not going to be, they're not going to come very often, and some of them are very, very rare. Now,
В данном ране самым важным является фаза подготовки. Потому что, по сути, успешность данного рана зависит от того, насколько хорошо вы собрали необходимые предметы и бафы для данных 10 этажей. Как раньше уточнялось, самых сложных 10 этажей игры.
That's nice of them because it does kind of make it a little bit easy for me to keep this run moving, but that's okay. So let's do a quick explanation of the Aetherpool armor that you see on the character info. You'll see my machinist job name, and below that it's arm and armor. It says Aetherpool arm and armor. That is kind of the power level system in this game mode. So I do have cap 99.99, which is kind of what you'd like to have on these higher floors. But you don't even need to have gear from the outside.
К сожалению, у раннера технические трудности. И это действительно у раннера технические трудности, потому что нас вернули на главную. Ну, это был ран Final Fantasy XIV, господа. Это еще одна возможность обновить вам чай. Да, рады 1 по 200 популярны. Титул некроманта только так и получается. Один из самых редких титулов в игре. У раннера он есть. И, собственно, можно сказать, что если он успешно закончит этот ран, то он может получить его по второму кругу.
So we are going to get that sorted out, and we're going to bring the run back. We are warriors of light, friends. We will not give up so easily. I'm going to go ahead and work on some donations while we're doing that. The professor sent in $25. Must have Stepmania, but also Bard is the greatest FF14 job. Professor, I'm going to let you get away with that because you're donating to PCF.
Делать нечего, давайте пока обсудим 14 Final Fantasy. Какой ваш любимый класс?
To get Stepmania added to the marathon. This is incredible. Absolutely keep those donations coming, please. No Bugs Only features sent in $250. Vulnerability stacks are only a suggestion. Good luck on the Palace of the Dead run. You see, No Bugs, you say that, and
Здесь должно было быть мое неавторитетное мнение про то, что лучший класс Final Fantasy XIV это рыбак. Да, оно в принципе здесь и будет. Что, как говорится, что вы мне сделаете?
Wolf Prince sent in $50. I've met great friends through FF14, and I'm so excited for this Palace of the Dead run to be on GDQ. I've only ever gotten to about floor 6, so I've got a lot to learn. In the meantime,
запрет на использование мыши, ну, влияет тем, что тебе не настолько удобно вращать камерой. С большего я бы не сказал, что там разница кардинально сильная.
And Sir Bill sent in another $50. Let's see the Manderville Mambo on floor 180. I'm here for... Oh, we're over 90K. We're over 90K towards Stepmania. All right, Warriors of Light, you know what that means. 90K, we're scared of that number. Let's get past it and get it to 100K very, very quickly, please. While we're working on that,
Продолжается сбор донатов на степманию.
So let's go back over to Angelus for the run.
О,
Alright,
нас
well,
вернули
guys, sorry
на
about
ран.
that. Hopefully everything will be smooth now on our end. Let me continue the run. So we just cleared up one
К сожалению, мы пропустили прохождение 171 этажа.
Smooth on the previous. It didn't miss too much. I was just getting through some enemies here. So what we're going to try to do is something. What I'm going to try to find is a specific trap. So along these
Собственно, раннер сейчас будет искать специальную ловушку, чтобы с помощью данной ловушки победить всех мобов на этаже.
That are going to be there. So we'll do some fun tech, which we like to call the landmine tech here. So I'm going to pull a couple enemies here. I'm going to be using a power-up called the Pomander of Witching, which will transform some of these enemies into kind of a weaker state. Some of them are not that much weaker, but you know, for the sake of just keeping it simplistic.
Так, мы собираем всех в одну пачку. Мы используем один из бафов, которые заработали на предыдущих 170 этажах, которые делают мобов не столь страшными. И мы используем мину, чтобы, собственно, всех этих противников по-быстрому зачистить. Мы постараемся это сделать так часто, как это возможно. Для рана мы используем класс машиниста. Один из самых стабильных для прохождения классов. Стабильнее будут только условные танки и хилы.
Is to do techniques like that in the run, and it's really useful, pretty dangerous, but it's pretty useful there.
Но среди
ДД
титул самого стабильного и быстро проходящего Palace of the Dead однозначно принадлежит машинисту.
And you're fully stacked up on power-ups for this run, aren't you?
I am, but what's interesting about this set, and we kind of advertise this as the hardest set, is as much as I am full stocked up, we want to kind of stay stocked up, because if we kind of just don't check these chests, it might be really tough to get through without getting a little help from these power-ups.
Yeah, you know, one thing that some players might not know, there's like about 20 or so jobs in Final Fantasy 14.
Yep.
And we're playing the one with the gun that can run around called Machinist.
That's right.
That's completely probably one of the best jobs to play this content on, or what would you say? Would Red Mage maybe?
Well, you know, Red Mage used to be the way to go, but kind of the job in itself is still fine to use, but some other jobs have kind of just shown that they are a little bit more useful, especially with the knowledge that we've kind of gathered with this content. Red Mage has been tough, but like tanks also are pretty good to use in here. But one of the things that, as I'm kind of demonstrating how Machinist plays out, you can see kind of all the tricks and stuff we can do in the kiting.
Собственно, как вы могли наблюдать, раннер показывает, почему используется класс машиниста в данных ранах, потому что у машиниста есть огнестрел, что позволяет ему, по сути, заниматься раннинганом, что позволяет ему более аккуратно проходить все, что необходимо проходить. Поэтому
glad we got to see the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV, which has a free trial up to level 60 with no time limit, including the award-winning expansion Heavensward in GDQ. Good luck with the run, Angelus. Wishing you'd gotten La Angeles. Greetings from the Spanish Restream.
Nice. Oh well, too bad.
And $50 from Raffle Skippy. Can we get a shout out for our other crafter mains out there? Yo, shout outs to crafter
Ну да, основная идея в том, что механ может катить, и поэтому мы играем именно за машиниста. Можно было бы, конечно, поиграть за условного танка, чтобы было еще проще, но тогда ран бы длился не час, а 3. Поэтому...
Ever since my days on Final Fantasy XI, and actually the way I'm playing with the keyboard and no mouse is because of my Final Fantasy XI days, where that game did really have the greatest mouse support. And I played the game for like 7+ years, and then I've only played FF11 and FF14 as an MMO. So when I transitioned from 11 to 14, I was just like, okay, well, can I play like I did with FF11? And short story is yes, but it took some work to get to this point that we are at now, where we literally just don't have any need for the mouse, especially in this content, per se. But yeah, so yeah.
Yeah.
Let me try to get to this. All right.
Yeah, you know,
I had another thought in my mind. I just forgot like what I was gonna say, but that's just
one thing that
kind of broke off into another thought.
Yeah, no, one thing that people might be noticing though is how you're kind of running past some of the mobs, and how you're kind of like, I guess, it looks like they should be attacking you, but they're not.
Самое главное —
That's true.
это
Well, some of them, they are,
отходить
they
от
have like different aggro rules to
всех
them.
атак.
Some enemies will
Спасибо,
aggro by
что
if they see you.
мы
Some
можем наносить
enemies will
приличный
aggro
урон,
what we call
не
proximity
стоя
rules.
на
If you're
месте.
nearby them, they will aggro you. So a lot of times you'll see me kind of run behind certain enemies. It's because I know that they are sight and they're not going to give me a problem. Whereas other ones I kind of stay away from, and because I know that they probably, no matter what I do, unless they're just out of the way, they're going to give me an issue. So just for an example, like these two enemies in front of me, this Dom-L over here is a proximity. So if I get near to him, he is just going to plain out aggro. Whereas the Bandersnatch is over here, that's the Tiger, I just have to make sure I'm not in his line of sight. And there I just got kind of close to that, and boom, he aggroed. But that's where kind of some of the game knowledge doesn't come to play, about knowing what you can kind of get around, what you can't get around. And sometimes it also leads into being able to decide your pulls. Because what you're looking at with the map, which I'll try to explain now, I was trying to do that on the first floor. You'll see like a key.
Ранее рассказывает о том,
and it kind of gives us an indication
как
on
правильно
how many or how the floor is progressing in terms of opening it.
катить врагов и разделять пачки противников, чтобы драться с ними поодиночке. Опять же, мы обязаны это делать, потому что Palace of the Dead рассчитывался на то, что вы будете проходить его вчетвером. И скейла никакого того, что вы играете один, в нем нет.
You know, the other thing, I was just going to ask about machinists in general, because we actually had a patch recently,
yes,
which is kind of a precursor patch to new content for Deep Dungeon. We don't have to go into that too much, but I wanted to talk about, at least right now, but machinists got buffed a little bit, didn't they?
It did. I mean, from my understanding, I think with the raids, they seem really happy with the buffs on machinists. For us, it's really interesting because machinists, I think, in raids have had a little bit of issues with people, trying to get enough out of the job, trying to produce whatever just to make it useful for raids. But funny enough, they keep buffing it up for the raid, and in here, in Deep Dungeon, in Palace of the Dead, it just kept getting better and better because it was already good in here.
Собственно, тут происходит рассказ о том, что машиниста в последних патчах бафали в связи с тем, что он был не очень полезен в рейдах. Что сделало данный ран еще проще, потому что машинист на пиставу был хорош в прохождении Palace of the Dead.
Get a little bit of distance from him, and he can't hit me, which is fantastic. Now I'm going to hit a sprint as well to kind of follow it up to kind of maintain the distance. And this is kind of like the combination of things that Machinist has to kind of stay alive and to not take the damage. Even though it has a much weaker defense than some of the other jobs like tanks, etc., we are able to stay alive and make it through. Now, on the previous floor, we had used what's called a Pomander of Alteration. And what that does is that it changes enemies in a room, this room in particular, to either Mandragoras, which you see right now, or the Mimics, which you saw in the very beginning. Hopefully it wasn't too choppy for you guys to see that Mimic when we started up the run. But the Mandies are really good because they die in one shot, and they're super, super great. But
Собственно, в прошлом этаже мы использовали предмет, который заменил генерацию мобов на данном этаже.
we picked up we used a Pomander flight, which will effectively reduce
И
the
нам
amount of
повезло,
kills I
нам
need to get on the floor by half. So to get
выпало в
off the floor,
генерации
the
мимики,
average that you're looking
которые
for is between 4 and 8 kills.
убиваются чуть
If you use
проще,
a Pomander
чем
flight, now you're looking at
другие варианты,
probably
соответственно,
2 to
чуть
4
быстрее.
kills potentially. So that's really like a nice time save. It does reduce the enemies into a floor, so that's really nice to have. Now, we also now just picked up a Pomander Rage, and it came up very quickly, but we will be using it. On top of what we like to call in the community a treasure room, or a room that's really nasty. I think the Japanese call it the monster house. So what tends to happen sometimes is sometimes they just like to shove all themselves into one room like this, and it is pretty disgusting to try to get
Оп.
through. Thankfully, we have what we
Вот
call
мы
a rage.
попались на
Now,
то,
I'm just gonna kind of set this up a
что
little bit to help me. I used the Pomander
любой
over the top, so that doesn't
проходимец
become a problem. Now, as the
Паусу
rage, we
задает
get the
ненавидит, это
transformed
когда
into a
мобы просто
Manticore.
решают
This
стекаться в
special
одну...
Manticore has the ability to one-shot any enemy that I hit as long as I'm in melee range. It really makes this a lot
Рому.
easier to manage, as opposed to, you know, the
Но у
amount
нас
of time we
повезло,
were
мы...
killing, which I think on average I was
Ну
taking maybe
как
about
повезло.
1 minute to 2
За
minutes to
170
complete the
этажей
stuff, but fortunately,
было
we
найден
picked
предмет,
them up,
который позволяет
and we were able to get through this room without a problem.
превратиться
If I didn't have
в
it,
данного моба,
maybe I
который,
still would have used it,
к нашей
especially if
радости,
I wanted to stay in time.
одной
But
милишной
thankfully,
атакой
we didn't have to
убивает
make that decision.
любого
And now
противника.
we're just gonna-
Поэтому...
Real quick,
Yes.
Tech is asking for about 30 seconds to
30 seconds,
work on
alright.
the stream.
All right, so can I go in buggy?
A little bit.
Мимики не противны в вакууме, но они гораздо приятнее, чем то, что стоит обычно в 174 этаже.
Okay. Give me a moment. I'll stop the stream and do it.
Технические неполадки снова произошли. В каком данже ваша любимая музыка из Final Fantasy XIV, господа игроки? Делитесь годнотой.
All right, looks like we are coming back. So, sorry about that, Angelus. We're going to bring you back up. Let's keep running.
Alrighty. Sorry about that, guys. I apologize, but hopefully we'll be able to get at least the meaty part of the run going in. We've stepped into 175, and now we're going to continue going through these enemies. Now, one of the reasons that would be kind of a question, I think it was also part of the questions from earlier when we did the interview, is why do I do Deep Dungeon? You know, what is my interest with this content? One of the things that I really liked about this, you know, this is an MMO, you're supposed to do party stuff, but well, not supposed to do party stuff, but this content in particular gave an option for a challenge that is solo, and you can kind of enjoy this and still kind of feel like you've accomplished something. Now, this content is kind of meant for 4 people. You can go in here with 4 people, challenge it with 4 people, but when you go in solo like I am right now, the enemies don't scale. They're basically exactly the same difficulty, the same everything. And that's why this makes this challenge really, really interesting to me. And not to mention, there is also a leaderboard that does exist when you do this in the official website. So if you go to the Final Fantasy XIV website, which is called Lodestone, there is a leaderboard to all the people who have cleared and everything. And it's fantastic. So it kind of has a little bit of a
происходит рассказ о том, что есть официальный сайт со всеми достижениями, спидранами, связанными с Final Fantasy XIV, на уровне скорости убития того или иного босса, и есть там отдельная категория для Palace of the Dead, и отдельная категория для Palace of the Dead в одиночку.
This ape here, this is one of the nastier enemies that exists. They are proximity aggro, which we talked about earlier, but they also like to eat bananas, and when they do, they get a buff, and they will constantly kind of hit me getting a physical bone stack. So I don't want to pull this while it is buffed, and I'm also buffed. Which I just kind of did, but it's okay, we'll be fine. Now I'm going to pull here. Alright. And we're going to try to mitigate here and try to keep this guy at bay while we try to kill him. He was in the way, so I had to kind of deal with him to get through that room. So we're going to kite him out. This is kind of the power that exists with Machinist.
Вот.
Get to do this kiting, even though this thing
Опять
is
же,
like a little
наглядная
bit
демонстрация,
you could
почему мы
probably
играем за
do something if you
машиниста.
really wanted to, but
Мы просто
hopefully we
убиваем
can
противника,
take
не давая ему к себе
before
по-человечески
anything bad
подойти.
happens, and we're good to
Постоянно
go.
отбегает от
We're
него.
gonna go find the exit here as we proceed through this floor. Let's see where the exit is. I think
Again, just
that is
making
the
this look
exit.
too easy. I don't know how you do it, man.
Well, a lot of practice, that's for sure.
Yeah, years.
Yeah, years of practice, that's for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into this next floor. So time management wise, actually, even though with some of the issues that we were having, we're still really good on time, thankfully, and our palms are still really good in good order, so that's a good thing. I want to get to this floor 176 with at least about a little over 30 minutes, and especially because we're going to give a little extra time for the last boss just in case anything goes wrong. Now, right now we have some debuffs. In Deep Dungeon, starting at floor 172, there is a chance that the floor can be debuffed. And right now we have kind of two really kind of interestingly nasty debuffs.
Со 172 этажа имеется шанс, что на вас быкнул дебаф.
Healing regen, whether you're in combat and out of combat. But what this happens is that it removes that and kind of makes it less for me to heal back. And on top of that, I am blinded, so I have a chance. Like I think it's about a 25% chance for me to start missing my abilities, which is going to make this a little spicy.
Собственно, нам повезло поймать сразу два. Первый выключает реген и хила, в принципе. А второй говорит, что у нас есть примерно 25% шансов на то, что любые наши способности будут просто промахнуться. Что делает ран чуточку сложнее на этом этаже, но и неприятнее и дольше, но... Скажем так, проблем больших быть не должно.
Now, because a lot of times when I'm kiting, sometimes you don't kind of see the enemy in view. I'm going to try to help out to make sure that the enemy is in view here, so you see them. But, you know, running away, etc. A lot of times
стратегия все еще та же. Просто кайтесь противника и с удовольствием их отстреливать, пока они пытаются к тебе подойти.
Now let's see what we got coming in. We got this bird, I'm going to take him out. That is a patrol. So in Deep Dungeon, there are enemies that we call patrols, and there is like kind of one type per set that they just roam around the rooms. They just go from room to room.
И опять же, в глубоких этажах у нас появляются мобы патрулей, которые летают с комнаты в комнату, и вот сейчас мы избавляемся от такого патруля.
And again, we had mentioned aggro earlier, so again, this one is proximity, so it would have been kind of nasty to try to navigate through this enemy to make it through. Now this one is yet another patrol, but this one, even though he's really big, he's a slight aggro, but I do still want to take care of him so he doesn't become a problem for the future. He's just going to do some auto attacks, and as long as I keep away, it's not going to be too bad. He's one of the nicer enemies to pull into the run. Now, Palace of Dead is actually old content, funny enough. I was mentioning earlier before we started that if you wanted to do a free trial, which goes up to Heavensward, you can end up doing this content. And this content is Heavensward content in reality. It was released in Heavensward. Wait for that debuff. It was released in Heavensward.
Огнестрел машиниста обустроится тем, что машинист является гиком, любителем техники, собственно. Огнестрел тоже часть техники. Машинист — это про пистолеты, бомбы, вот про все это добро. И мы все это эксплуатируем. Как-то многовато патрулей в данном этаже загенерилось.
increases the challenge, but it does make it a lot of fun, and that's what's the great part about this content in general. And one of the reasons, again, why I really like doing this content. I almost do it like literally every week, etc. Between this one and the second deep dungeon called Heaven on High.
Раннер
old content, but
балуется
definitely not dead
Palace
content.
of the Dead примерно
Yeah,
каждый,
exactly. It's not dead content. That's right.
Sorry.
I mean,
примерно
it's so
каждую неделю.
interesting watching more and more people hop into here and they're experiencing it for the first time, and they're like, wow, this is such a cool challenge. I didn't know this thing existed into this game. But I started my introduction saying a lot of people kind of potentially know this content because of the 51 to 60 spam, which is a common thing to do when you're trying to level jobs below level 60, and it does get grinded. Like, I'll admit that's kind of boring to kind of grind those floors because it's the same thing over and over. But you know, this is where the challenge run kind of kicks in, and
Это уже, значит, четвертый патруль на этаже был.
Oh, yeah. So now let me have some fun, and I'm gonna pull one of the more nastier enemies, which is called an Anzu. This is actually one enemy that we tell you not to pull. And what I want to do is I want to demonstrate to you why we don't pull it. I'm gonna wait for my sprint to come up. So we've been handling every single enemy up till now by doing like an opening sprint and some crowd control to kind of help them out so they don't get to me. This guy kind of doesn't care about that. So we're gonna pull him. I don't have a steal on, which some of the veteran deep dungeon guys are gonna know that's a little spicy, but we'll do it anyway. So what he does, he will do a bit of a gap closer. He's gonna put a DOT.
Собственно, мы использовали приманку, чтобы приманить противников всех в одну точку, чтобы потом можно было их спокойно обогнуть. Но этот товарищ не очень далеко решил идти, поэтому мы просто этим избавляемся.
Excellent. Now, we're going to see where this ape goes, because that is a proximity enemy. I think I'll be fine, because I shouldn't draw the aggro, and I will get to the exit moving into here. Yes, let's go, before he goes in.
Do you think now would be a good time for donations?
Yeah, so we can squeeze in some donations on this floor, yes.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. All right, Warriors of Light. I hope you got your dancer glams ready, because we have met Step Mania. The bonus game is in the marathon. Thank you so much to everyone.
Поздравляю, господа, на степманию надонатили. После Final Fantasy XIV нас ждет степмания. А пока 177 этаж. Интересной информации не будет, будут только зачитываться донаты. Раннер идет очень хорошо. Как говорил Раннер, у него по плану было дойти до 176 этажа за 30 минут. Мы за 30 минут его уже прошли.
Now get to the weeping city of Mahach and get me some pictures of Spider Queen.
That's a good one.
Hey,
all right,
going.
I've got a $50 donation here from Annie Beta, longtime Warrior of Light, new raid healer. It only felt right to make my large donation to help PCFB during the Final Fantasy XIV run. I love all of the class and job specific donations that we're getting here. Like it takes the whole party to get through the dungeon normally, not when you're not Angelus. And you know, seeing everybody come together here for PCF is just amazing. $50 in from one more name I recognize, Urian J. Algarel. Pray accept my humble donation for thy noble and honorable cause. For those we have lost, for those we can yet save. Postscript, thou didst a fine job, Eisenway. Well done, my friend.
Very nice. We can do one more, and then I'll pull it back.
Продолжаем бегать по краям арены, чтобы не задевать противников.
Weird. Oh, well, it's the thought that counts. Range, physical, DPS solidarity, and love from Brunhild.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Oh, that Anzu just moved himself into the position that's going to aggro me, so I'm kind of stuck in this room. So one thing I wasn't able to mention earlier, which probably was when the stream was cutting out a little bit, we do have a special item in here by the what's called Sustaining Potion. You're gonna be seeing me chugging that thing often, which is on my top bar, like a gray little potion that's over there. And what that does is that it gives me a 15-second regen. Sorry, I need to update myself. It is a 30-second regen, which gives me about 10% of healing every 3 seconds. Now that is recently updated from the patch that happened on Tuesday, and it was really such a nice quality of life for a lot of runners to have that update.
Тренер иногда попивает зелье, которое накидывает на нее
we're
регенерацию.
hoping to kind of
10% каждые 3 секунды, длится 30 секунд. То есть полностью вытекивает.
Just have like 400 and 500 of these potions, and then you can do it. And they're like, oh well, that's a lot. But thankfully, it's effectively kind of doubled the amount, doubled the duration, so you kind of have to use almost half the amount, which is really nice. But you're gonna see me using this a lot, and that's one of the main reasons why we're able to survive in this place. And you know, you can see me a couple times already when Mr. Game Chat was doing some donations.
Собственно, с учетом того, что в прошлом этаже у нас, например, был выключен автохил, это единственный вариант, как мы, в принципе, хилимся по-человечески.
On the run and keep survival, really. And with the combination of the kiting that Machinist and really physical range provides, that really spells a nice formula for getting through on these floors. Now, this go ahead.
No, I was going to say there's a lot of things that are happening on your screen that's very difficult to explain. Like, I don't know if we would ever hit all of them. I mean, I don't think we even talked about Peloton that you keep using as well, right?
Oh yeah. So you're gonna see kind of a green animation that I use, and which is called Peloton. Again, another benefit of this class and this job, because it gives me increased movement speed as we go through the floors. And when you're trying to go a little faster and try to get through these sets, moving faster when you need to go from room A to room B is certainly a nice thing to have. Now in this floor, what you're gonna see is that it's all literally gloomy. The actual debuff is called a gloom, and you'll see the kind of like a almost like an angry icon on the map over there. So what happens with this debuff is that it kind of buffs up all the enemies. You'll see in this Corel that I'm fighting at the center of the screen, you'll see kind of one icon to the left, one to the middle, and one to the right. The left icon is that it's doing increased damage to me, which is not nice. It's already hitting hard enough. The middle is that it has increased defense, which is fantastic as well. And then it also has increased movement speed. So, you know, for them to already walk pretty fast to get to me, they're now moving even faster, just like, oh, this is great. So I'm gonna use a witching here only because I don't have very many.
Челлендж пройти самую условную десятку этажей в Palace of the Dead. Что, собственно, сейчас происходит. На данном этаже порtal девап под названием Gloom, который усиливает всех противников, давая им больше урона, больше защиты и делает их быстрее по мувмент спиду. Повезло, что у машиниста есть кнопка, которая тоже дает мувмент спид, поэтому мы все еще можем более-менее как-то катить. Наконец-то 177 этаж подходит к концу. Осталось 3 этажа. Ну, 2 этажа плюс босс, если быть точнее.
This run goes fast, and you think like an hour is a lot of time, but in reality, it just goes in a blazing amount of time. So we'll try to navigate through here. I'm probably gonna do a Pomander of Rage while I try to get through this one. I'll do another Witching can kind of help me out. We're gonna do what we call, what the community likes to call a double rage. And what a double rage means is we're going to take a Pomander of Rage right here, and I'm gonna try to use it on this floor and try to take it into the very next floor. It's kind of the
Используем метаморфозу мантикора, чтобы расправиться с большим количеством мобов. Мантикора все еще автоатакой ваншотает все что угодно.
Which is a luring trap, and that spawns 3 additional enemies. Normally, that's extremely dangerous, but because we are in a rage, that is providing me a little bit of extra kills just to get off the exit. As mentioned, we needed 4 to 8 to get off the floor, so it was like on the higher end of the kill count, so we were able to pull that out. It was fortunate. I didn't predict that the luring trap was there, but I did use a Pomander of Sight to kind of help me out. So now what I want to do
178 этаж прошел моментально. Уменьшенное хп и опять глум.
And actually, this set of debuffs is the more nastier one.
Вот это
So
уже
before I take it
опасно.
out, I'm gonna kind of explain what's going on. We have the Gloom Floor, which we explained
Противники с
earlier, which increases
увеличенным
their
уроном и так уже
enemies and their defense, but on
являлись
top of
опасной
that,
ситуацией,
they have,
которая
HP down, which
при
means
любой
my
ошибке
HP. So
могло
not only do they do more
похоронить
damage to
ранее,
me,
а
they
теперь у
will
нас еще
also kill me
и
a lot
макс ХП
faster.
уменьшено.
So we will use the Serenity for this one to kind of make my life just a little bit easier. And then now we're gonna proceed and try to get through this floor.
Поэтому раннер использует предмет, который
With enough
убирает
time.
все
I
эти
wanna try to get
дебафы.
off this floor,
И теперь это самый
hopefully
обычный
within the
этаж.
next 3 minutes, but the next 5 minutes will be okay too. Now this room is actually very interesting. In particular, we call this the donut room, and it is actually a beautiful thing to have when we are kiting.
Собственно,
Because a lot enemies have to
загенерировалась так называемая пончик-комната, которая для нашего рана идеальна. Потому что в пончик-коме очень удобно кайтить противников.
Into this floor. And fortunately also, one thing I did not mention, we did mention about traps, that there are traps on the floor that can randomly spawn, and those are the red symbols, that, like the one I just stepped on the previous floor. But the spawn room, the room that we just spawned in, which is this one, will never have a trap.
Единственная проблема данного рома то, что никаких ловушек нет, поэтому зачистить противника с помощью ловушек у нас не получится. Но ладно. Так пока неплохо идет все.
When you were in the Fury, that you were just kind of going through and knocking people dead, but you're not invincible in that mode either.
That's right.
So
no, you're not. I could take damage, and there's a bit of a wind up for those attacks too. So you have to kind of really manage yourself and not get a little too wild and crazy. Just aggro 10 things and just hope you kill them like one at a time. And then also a little bit more of a complex tech is that there is a debuff that exists in here called No Knockback, which we didn't get to see on this run so far. But basically, the Rage Pomander that we do twice in a run, it is aided by the fact that if you're able to kind of push back the enemy, a knockback, when you hit the enemy with your hand with that Manticore, it knocks them back into like the wall or something. But when there is no knockback, that Rage effectively is completely useless because it doesn't do the one-shot kill, and that has definitely caught a lot of runners in general because they just like.
Собственно, рассказывают про другие варианты, как ран мог стать еще хуже. Есть дебаф под названием Knock-Knockback, то есть без отбрасывания. И он делал вот метаморфозу в Мантикора бесполезным, потому что Мантикор убивает не просто ударом, а за счет того, что цель после удара отбрасывается в условную стену и об нее убивается.
Not useless. They are the ones that level up your 8th pull, which we had explained earlier, and I hope that was heard by the audience. But once you're at 99.99, it kind of becomes just something that you don't really need to have and need to use. However, they do have a chance to explode, and those silver chests can actually kill you if you're a little bit low HP. So I kind of set up my HP to be a little bit higher, and it does hit the enemies. And as you saw when I used that silver chest, I was able to get kind of a quick kill on the enemy. And I'm very thankful for that to show up because that doesn't happen very often. So at least you got to see that tech, which is really, really cool.
What's the chances that's going to actually happen when you click on a chest?
The chances of them happening is every time you don't want it to, and never when you want it to. That's when it happens. Yeah.
Well, it happened when we wanted to this time, so...
It did, thankfully.
Yeah, that's real lucky.
Maybe it's a marathon luck kind of thing,
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to probably clean up a couple. My time is still pretty good, hopefully. If I'm not out by this kill, I may have to go a little bit faster just to make this up, but we should be okay to go. I do have a pull up there, which I'm gonna go for, and again, I would like to have a little over, say 18 minutes for the boss, because that boss is really the hardest part of this run. I mean, I don't know how it looked to you guys watching. If this looked hard, I mean, sometimes some people.
Мы все еще не дошли до босса.
But time to manage the time and manage the power-ups, etc., are all part of the challenge, and having the game knowledge of what to pull and whatnot. Yeah. But the boss in itself will have like just an additional layer of a challenge. Unlike basically the entire 9 floors we've been doing, that boss is kind of scripted. And if you do raids, if you do parties, that's got a little bit familiar territory. That a lot of the raid bosses are scripted fights. They will just, it becomes like a memory puzzle game to know what it's going to do next, so on and so forth. And that is what Behemoth is, but it does have a little bit of an extra layer to that difficulty. and we'll talk about that when we get in there. But basically, its initial rotation up from 100% to about 20% is like nice and smooth. But once you push it down below 15%, it starts getting real angry, and it'll start casting Ecliptic Meteor. And Ecliptic Meteor will do literally 80% of all your HP, and it does it non-stop every 10 seconds. And there is no way to stop that unless you basically kill it or it kills you. And with Machinists, we don't have that many tools to heal ourselves, so we have to do a
Итак,
little bit of a
данный
DPS race to make
босс,
this happen.
то, что может
Now,
сейчас
I'll explain this a little bit in terms of the
ран
strategy that we
похоронить,
will
потому
employ,
что,
and then
ну,
we can do a little bit of donations until I get to
первые
about 30%. But basically, what the strategy
80%
I'm gonna
его
be playing is kind
полоски
of
особо
one support,
страха не
clockwise
представляют.
strategy. This thing will
Но
drop
проблема
two
в том,
tributes like
что
this, and they do expand bigger than the
примерно на
initial area that
15%
drops.
хп
So
у
if you
него
want to kind of
появляется
park them in a way
атака
that
под
they're kind of
названием
out of my way,
Эклипс
I like
Метеор.
parking them at the edge of the arena, so it kind of keeps the
Эклипс
middle of the
Метеор
arena clean.
наносит
Next up,
80% макс
boss will
хп,
go to the south end where I spawn,
и
and
делает
do an
он это
ability
очень
called
часто,
Shrouds. And I just want to
а мы на
point it out
машинисте,
that once I'm
который
clear,
не
then I'm gonna
особо
head over
хорошо
here,
хилится,
which is gonna follow
поэтому
the clock. It's gonna do another 2 Charybdises as it goes here, and
это
I'm going to
превращается в
move out
гонку
of that, and I
ТПСа.
want a little extra space because that thing will
Поэтому мы будем
expand.
надеяться то,
And
что
this
Эклипс
is
Метеор
more or
не
less what we're
произойдет,
looking at with this fight. So this doesn't look overly threatening, but later
или
on, like I said,
произойдет
there's
тут
going to be a
уже в
setup that we
более-менее
need to do,
наших,
that is
удобных для
really,
ранних условиях.
I would say pretty complicated, pretty difficult, because you could mess it up. We gotta hold our damage so that we don't push it too far, too fast, and then get everything open with a big burst to be able to handle this thing in the amount of time. We will also be doing a
Собственно,
strategy that
раннер
is a little bit
придерживает
newer.
абсолютно все
We call it the
брос-кнопки
itemless
именно под эту
strategy. Usually
ситуацию,
we will use a
на
healing
случай Эклипс
potion or
Метеора.
power up potion to increase our damage, but we will do none of that, and it will make this a little bit harder. And that's one of the reasons why we kind of have a safety net on this boss. So if I fail the first one, we'll kind of do it the normal way after that. But hopefully I'll nail it on the first go. So from here on until about 30%, Mr. Game and Shout, you can do some donations.
All right, just cut me off when we're good. Chico Leg Day sent in $214. Red mages are such nice people. Every time I help one out, they say, "Thanks a vermilion." Shoutouts. Oh, come on. Shoutouts to my FC mates, fellow healer mains, and anyone dodging the Limlom chat log. Angelusdemonus received a player commendation. GG on that.
Thank you.
Hitterata sent in $100. White Mage was the first class I mained. Don't worry, the only hit point that matters is the last one. And I know where Raze is on my hotbar. Also, I have some gil I found lying around in these pockets. That's the kind of attitude that gives tanks a heart attack. A $25 donation that says, Warrior of Light checking in, take my friend.
Там зачастую очень страшные донаты, которые вызывают очень неприятное ощущение любому танку. Сообщение от лица хила, который говорит, что единственное важное хп это последний. И я знаю, когда тебя лечить.
Very nice.
Yeah, I'll take Praetorium donos. I'm here for that. Zyros with $100 on that theme.
Cyrus.
And from the deepest pit of my wallet to the very pinnacle of the heavens, this stream shall tremble. Unleash donations! From all of us at Team Drifter, thanks for being an awesome friend and teammate, Angelus.
Thank you, Team Drifter. Appreciate it.
Так, половина полоски
$500.
босса уже нет.
Dark Knight main, really excited to see Palace of the Dead here at GDQ. Good luck, Angelus. Eldritch sent in $50. Been so excited for the Palace of the Dead run, I have barely been able to get to floor 50 solo. Also, shoutouts to my girlfriend and our IRL Makode, Ethel, and Winslow. Incentive goes to Stepmania, do the Manderville. Quick check on that. For those 4 bonus sight read charts, we've got a whole light party's worth of extra content. We are just over 6,000 out of the 40,000 that we need to get that in. So please keep those donations coming. What are we at on percent here?
We can do one more donation.
Okay. Marcus sent in $25. /target, Mr. Game and Shout. /action, Swiftcast.
Так, 30%. Скоро самый критичный момент.
/action, Raise. The res! Thank you!
This is a good macro.
Yeah. Alrighty, so we're at 30%. what we're gonna do, we haven't used this Pomander yet, but we have a Pomander called a Pomander of Lust, and it turns us into a succubus. And what that does is that it allows us to do a special property on the boss, which gives them vulnerability stacks, which basically we want to be going for 5 stacks, 5 hits in the boss, because it will then now do, or we will be able to do 50% more damage on the boss, which is, it sounds like a nice little luxury thing, but that is actually something that is nearly required to make this run. And when we are transformed, we can't heal because we can't use items while transformed. So it does make it a little spicy to manage the timing of it, etc. So I'm going to hold my damage here. My gauges look good. I have 100% in all the gauges, which is kind of what I want for it. Now I'm going to kind of position my Pomander.
Начинается сетап.
I'm going to be waiting for a specific part of this fight. I'm going to do my sustaining. I'm going to do a tactician, which is a defense thing, and now I pop the Pomander of Lust.
Мы нажимаем все кнопки, используем трансформацию.
And again, I can't heal here, but we did get some defenses up, and we did get our potion up, which, by the way, with that update,
И теперь мы начинаем злить дядю Бегемота и надеяться, что мы его спокойно пройдем, не увидев на себе Эклипс Метеор.
If I push it below to 14.9, it'll get angry and start doing Meteor. So I don't want to push it that far. Let's see where it's at. It is currently at 15.3. I'm not sure if you guys can see it, but actually it's a perfect spot. I did that in one shot, so thankfully I didn't push it over. If I do another hit here, auto attack or GCD, which is my main abilities, my global cooldowns, then it is going to get angry. And I do want to time this in a very specific part of this fight. What we're looking for is that when he is busy doing an attack, he cannot go into that Meteor phase. So we kind of lock him into an attack and then take advantage of that timing.
Так.
And that's what we're looking for. So coming up soon.
Мы ждем.
All right, so the first coming in, I'm going to set up here. Boom. I'm going to drop my turn and let's do the burst.
И теперь мы прожимаем абсолютно все кнопки, чтобы убить его, прежде чем он нажмет, произойдет прожатие Эклипс Метеора. Ай. И теперь надо убить быстрее, чем произойдет второй Эклипс Метеор.
Nice. And that is Behemoth. There you go.
И мы закончили с первого раза. Поздравляю.
No problem. If that meter dropped, then I would have been dead. So, well, thankfully, we made it through. We made it through between all the frames and all that. So, that is definitely the toughest fight. Oh, look at all the friendos here. That is definitely the toughest fight. I mean, I've done that so many times, but for someone doing it for the first time, a lot of the nerves come in. A lot of things have to happen correctly for that to go on and work, but we nailed it on first go, so... Oh my
И это был ран Final Fantasy.
Look at it. Look at this. And as I had asked and hoped, these guys are coming in here. Look at these airboats. Well, or at least our version of an airboat. I have a little airboat. Oh my god, it's so big. There's so many of them. Now, hopefully, the frames are gonna die probably, but there's the run, guys. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate that. Frosty, if you want to do your outro.
Yeah, no, thanks for letting me come on here. I didn't really have to do too much work. You did all the heavy lifting, fortunately enough. Yeah, but I loved being here. You're an amazing part of the community, and thank you so much for the opportunity. Hopefully next time we can do this in person.
Yeah, that would be so cool. Yeah.
Yeah. If you guys are interested, you can find me over at twitch.tv/BogTalk, and we'll be doing a charity event over there in like about a week and a half or so. If you guys want to check that out. But yeah, and like the most difficult content in the game is coming out soon, called Ultimate. We're gonna have a new one, and so if you want to watch that stuff, check that out. But again, thank you everyone in the community who came out to support. I'm just happy to be here and smile and ask dumb questions.
Thanks, man. Thanks for being on my couch. I really appreciate it. I'm like looking at my thing and like, oh yeah, here we're gonna drop some frames, and it's like, oh, it's perfect. I don't know what happened, but we pushed through. We were able to stick with it. Things happen on the run, but thankfully we were able to get to the end, and thankfully, hopefully, Behemoth looked good to you guys. So thank you for that. Thank you to my Twitch teams, Team Drifter, Team Ethernet, and my own Twitch team, Team XIV Solo. They're all amazing content creators. If you want to see more Final Fantasy 14, this content and other stuff, check out the directory. So many awesome people. Thank you for GDQ for having this run and letting this happen. Again, apologies for all the tech issues, but we got there, and thank you for helping me out with that. Appreciate that. I hope the viewers enjoyed this run, give you a little bit of a different perspective on this content for Palace of the Dead Deep Dungeon. We got the new one coming in 2 months. It's going to be a little less floors, 100 floors. but it's still a really tough challenge, and I'm going to be diving into that big time when that shows up in about 2 months. If you want to find me, I'm Angelusdemonus, twitch.tv/Angelusdemonus. Check out the About Us and the links for our Twitter, the YouTube channels, and our amazing Deep Dungeon community, solo community. Not just me, but so many people are there to help you if you're doing it for your first time. Like I mentioned in the beginning of the stream, free trials can come on here and try this specific challenge. So if you want to do that, we'll help you out. We'll give you all the starting kit and everything. And lastly, if you guys are looking for some guides, not just the video, but some guides, highly recommend to check out Icy Veins, because we are working on a series with Deep Dungeon. I have a guide up there for the Machinist solo, like you just saw this job, from 1 to 200. And if you want to figure out how to do the thing, how to start up, definitely check Icy Veins out for that. But thank you. We're all about helping the guys in the community in 14 to try to get this title. So if you want to be
Аня всех благодарит, рассказывает о том, что если вы хотите научиться так же хорошо проходить Palace of the Dead, есть множество